And in the course of chapter 1, he tells that story. And in the course of telling that story, of course, dumps a big amount of background on you. And does it in a somewhat narrative, entertaining way, so you don't entirely mind the big info dump, but which also tells us a lot we're going to need to know later, and gives me an opportunity to talk about a different sort of diagram. Now, because I'm coming from a UML background, for historical reasons, I'm going to call this an activity diagram. In my book, I call it a plotting diagram. If you want to call it a flow chart, I'm not going to argue with it. Just be aware that in the tool, it's called an activity diagram. And all activity diagrams, all plotting diagrams have a starting point, which is where we enter into this particular scenario. Come on. And generally speaking, they have an ending point, which is, in fact, in this case, going to be the unexpected party. Now, when we get the chance to talk about this in more detail, we'll talk about cases, especially during story design, where you might have more than one possible ending point that you can foresee, and it's giving you a chance to look at it and decide which one you think is most interesting. But since we're analyzing an existing story, which is already done, we will have one endpoint out of this story. Now, we could say, okay, we go from the fact that there's a mountain to the unexpected party. That would take 0 words on the page and would be kind of pointless. We don't want to draw that. What we want to draw is the steps from way, way, way back when to the unexpected party as Thorin describes them. And I'm going to skip a big chunk of them. Where'd my Kindle go? Oh, there it is. I walked right past it. We're going to skip a whole bunch of these and just hit the highlights. Come on. I'm clicking the button. I really am. Okay. Try to get back here. All right. Big party with the dwarves. Yay, yay. Dwarvish singing. Yay, yay, yay. There's a lot of clues hidden in that dwarvish singing, but we're going to ignore it for now. And we're going to get straight to Thorin telling his story. Gandalf, or Bilbo, has his little fainting spell. Mention of Mirkwood, a whole bunch of new things for the map. And the map and the key, front gate. Okay. Grandfather Thor's time, family was driven out of the far north. Driven out of far north. I hate this, by the way. I don't want them to be great big rounded boxes like this. I want them to be little capsule shapes. I don't need them to take up so much space. The default, which I haven't found a way to change yet in the tool, is the great big box shapes. There are ways I can change them after the fact, but you're going to see a lot of great big boxes for no reason as I do this. Driven out of the far north, came back to the mountain, which had been discovered by my ancestor, Thrain the Old. So actually, mountain discovered. Thanks, Thorin, for telling the story out of order, so I have to change things around. Fortunately, I've got a $229 modeling tool, which is designed to support changing things around easily. If you're doing this with paper and pencil, it's a little harder. Get good with your eraser. Came back to the mountain, mined and tunneled and made huger hauls. Settled under the mountain. Summarize a lot of this stuff. Grew immensely rich and famous, king under the mountain, gradually spreading up the river, running rivers, the valley, built the town of Dale. So Dale is going to become important. I just know it. Blah, 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 blah. Skip way ahead. Drew Smaug's attention. Smaug laid waste. Rain, Roar, Thorin, and others escape. Get these out of here, make some room. I can actually scroll, resize, and lots of other things, but I'm keeping it simple for now. Escape, spelled it wrong, who cares? Apparently I care. Okay. So we start to see some things going on in sort of a track of the plot. I'm going to throw in a piece of notation that is not in my Making Story Models book, which is for parallel plot lines. That after they escape, there are the years of wandering, which is Thorin's story. But then Gandalf pipes in to tell a different story, which is happening roughly the same time, which is Thror tries to reclaim mountain. Because these two are happening at the same time, I use this special symbol, they call it a fork, because the story forks there. Though while most of them were wandering, Thror tries to reclaim the mountain. Silly Thror gets captured by Necromancer. Gandalf discovers Thror. Oh, that's why I can't see it. There's another stupid zoom thing in my way. There we go. I was looking for my scroll bar. I couldn't find it. So Gandalf discovers Thror. Thror gives the map and key. But Thror is so far gone that Gandalf doesn't even know who he is at this point. So Gandalf searches for the sun and connect a whole bunch of these up. And eventually, Gandalf, we have the opposite of a fork, which is a join. Gandalf figures out who it is and meets up with the wandering dwarves. And Thorin asks for help finding a 14th party member because 13 is unlucky. Gandalf tries to enlist Bilbo, which leads us to the unexpected party.